Oh, let's see. But fucking. Oh, there it is. All right. Well, the world didn't end yet. We're still working on that. We'll figure out who's gonna die, who's not gonna die, who wins, who loses, who gives a fuck. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Keyboard Warriors. We are the Keyboard Warriors. My name is Eddie Law. It's Fred Kirby. Shooting shit about MMA in your faces while you guys are hopefully done watching Dana White Contender Series, and of course, waiting for the world to end. So, this last weekend, dude, Uriah Hall knocked out our legend. At one point, the GOAT, Anderson Silva, gets KO'd, and Dana White comes out afterwards and says he should have never let him fight. Was it that bad to you?
On one hand, yes, and on one hand, no.
Right.
On one hand, yeah, it was a little disparaging seeing Anderson Silva get dropped like that with a punch that I think we all assumed he would have just walked through, 5-10 years ago. Anderson had an iron chin.
Sure.
So, yeah, in that essence, I think it was a little sad. But to be completely fair, in comparison to some of the guys we've seen in there, BJ Penn, to name fucking one right off the top of my head, I thought Anderson looked okay. Yeah. I didn't think he looked like terribly outmatched. I think it's safe to say that, he shouldn't be in there with the elite of the elite no more. The man's 45 fucking years old, for fuck's sakes. I didn't think he looked fucking horrible. Like, what are we doing here? Like with BJ. But he's clearly a shell of himself. So I suppose it just depends on how you look at the situation. How did you look at it? How did you personally look at it?
Okay, look, the way I saw it is he was not doing that bad. In fact, some argue that he was actually holding his own, and he had a couple rounds, maybe like a round under his belt, right? I think the fact that he got knocked out with a seemingly glancing blow is what scared the shit out of everybody and made him think like he ain't got shit left, right? I don't know, dude. Fuck, it was because I was watching it and I was holding my kid at the same time, so he wouldn't let me pay attention. But from what I saw, I thought Anderson was fine. I thought he was doing great. Do you think maybe it's because Dana White, because maybe Anderson didn't leave his gloves in the middle of the cage and tell Dana White that he was like, thank you, Dana, thank you, UFC, because he didn't do any of that shit. In fact, he kind of left the door open to fighting again.
Well, I'd have to go back and watch all the quotes and shit, but I feel like maybe he has one more fight on his UFC contract, but Dana don't want to give him that fight because they feel like they've seen enough of him. So I don't know. I think the question might become, are they going to hold his one fight and basically make him retire?
Right.
Or will they go ahead and let him go to another company? I hope and assume they would let him go at this point. I mean, he's not the draw he once used to be. It would be a prick move to just end his career like that, to just hold that fight and be like, you can't fight anywhere else or we'll sue you, but we're not going to give you the one fight we owe you either. That's sort of a dick move. Either give him his fight or go ahead and let him out of his contract. But again, I do think that it's fucking quite obvious and clear that Anderson's best days are behind him. I don't really have a major desire to watch Anderson Silva get beat up at this point in his life and career. It doesn't mean a whole lot for me. It doesn't answer any questions or nothing. So
it's the same dude that fucking gave Izzy a pretty hard time in that fight. He gave him a hard time, I think.
I don't know, dude. I wonder those things. He that fight was close.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was some sort of weird respect. I feel like if Izzy wanted to fight,
like he was in awe.
Yeah, well, he didn't. I feel like if Anderson Silva would have grabbed Izzy's little sister's ass or something, Izzy would have beat the fuck out of him. Like, I feel like if there would have been the same sort of smoke that he had with Paulo Costa, where he really wanted to prove a point, I think he would have destroyed Anderson. I could be wrong about that, but I just feel like it was one of those things where he was just sort of having fun with him in there and not really, really going for it. I don't think it was because of how good Anderson is. Don't get me wrong. Gotcha. I think Anderson still has some talent because, I mean, again, he's one of the most talented fighters that ever lived, but this also isn't the WWF, man, the WWE, whatever. It's real life, and he's 45. He's going to slow down. His power is going to lack. His timing is going to start being a little off. I mean, there's just no way to get around these things. It is what it is.
Right. I mean, the older you get, the slower you get and all that. So, I mean, it makes complete sense. All right, we got a bunch of comments real quick. What's up, Adam? Says Anderson Silva is BJ Penn.
Oh, fuck off.
No.
Fuck off with that.
Maybe on UFC 4, Adam. We're not doing that shit in real life.
Fucking bare knuckle boxing.
Right. Otis, what's up, man? Who's your loser of the weekend? How is it not Maurice Green for dropping the ball against Greg Hardy? Did he drop the ball, or is Greg Hardy getting that damn good?
No, Greg Hardy's not that good. I'm so fucking sick and tired of Greg Hardy, man. Or not even Greg Hardy. Just this. I tell you what with Greg Hardy. Right. All right. The Volkov fight, cute. Fair enough. He lost it, but he went the distance. All right, boom, boom, boom. Bring him in against Maurice Green. Yeah, all right, a decent fighter. I'm tired of fucking with Greg Hardy. All right. Derek Lewis is fighting who? Derek Lewis has got a fight coming up. He's fighting Curtis Blades.
Oh, that's yeah.
I'll be nice. The loser. You get the loser of that fight. I'm tired of playing with you though. Listen, let's either let Greg Hardy get that fucking ass whooping that all of us want to see him take, or let's let him get a signature win that shuts us up. I don't want to see him fighting the Maurice Greens of the world no more. I don't give a fuck. He won. So what? I mean, at the end of the day, so what? Like, you know, I'm ready for him to sink or swim, man. You know, he's had his fights in the UFC. I realize he just started training not too long ago. I don't give a fuck. He went 5 rounds with Volkov not too long ago. He's ready to sink or swim. Give that man Derek Lewis. Quite frankly, I would love to see him fight Derek Lewis. For me, that fight's brilliant. We all know how Derek feels about women beaters. Yeah. We all know that Derek Lewis would have no problem trying to intimidate him for being a woman beater. We know that Greg Hardy would try to act like a tough guy. I fucking love it. Not to mention the fight would be fireworks. And I'm pretty sure Greg Hardy would actually finally get his comeuppance. I'm pretty sure motherfucking Derek Lewis would get in that ass. So, you know, whatever, man. His win over Maurice Green don't mean a whole lot of nothing to me. Congrats, but like, I'm ready to see you take on a real guy. Enough with your mouth.
Right. No, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with I'm done with the hype on Greg Hardy. I'm done with all of it though. Like, I'm just done with hearing about him. You know what I'm saying? Just like, all right, as a fighter, put him in there against someone real. If you sink or swim, see what happens.
Right.
All right. Otis, who's your winner of the weekend, and how is it not Bryce Mitchell for moving up the ladder with his win over Andre Feely? I give him quite a bit of credit on this win because Andre Feely is so goddamn like experienced, right? Now, was a decision? Sure. Rough fight, for sure. Rough fight for Andre because Bryce kind of, kept taking him down and everything. But what do you think on Bryce Mitchell here? Is he arrived? Is he now? Are you gonna throw him at like top 15s, top 10s? What's up?
Let's see here. I don't know. I like Bryce Mitchell, all right? Yeah. I like him. I love his personality. I know he's the fucking anti-masker. I tell you what, I think it makes him a fucking idiot, but I like that. I like that he's not indifferent. You either love him or you hate him. I enjoy that about him. He's exciting. He's got an entertaining fight style, and he seems to be very talented. Now, that being said, I'm still not sold on what exactly his ceiling is. When I picture him fighting the elite, he's at 45, right? Or we're at featherweight with him, right?
Yeah, featherweight.
Okay. Sure. So when I think about him fighting the Brian Ortegas or the Korean Zombies of the world or the Calvin Caters, I don't know. Look, he's cute, but I'm still I'm not there yet. I think his next fight would be I tell you what I'd like to see him fight next is Jeremy Stephens.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I want to see him fight somebody because I don't know yet. I mean, listen, he looks good, but 45 is deep, dog. I mean, and you got some fucking killers at the top of that division. Like, he's a good grappler. Do I think he wants any sort of smoke with T-City? I mean, do I think he could strike with him? Do I think he could do anything with Brian Ortega? And this is Korean Zombie fight notwithstanding. I don't think so. Do I think he would be able to impose his grappling game on the Korean Zombie? No. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. So, let's see him in there against somebody like Jeremy Stephens or something, and let's just see if he could actually handle Now, if he could go in there and submit Jeremy or get a good win over somebody like that's right at that sort of, top 7 to 11, 12 tier guy, then we'll revisit this conversation. Listen, Andre Feely is a tough dude, a veteran, good win. But I don't want to get too fucking carried away with Bryce yet. I'm intrigued though. I'm still with him. I'm just not like, motherfuckers get on the Hamzat fucking hype train and start talking wild. I'm not sold just yet. He looks good though. He looked really good. He did what he needed to do.
Right. Before we move off this card real quick, we didn't talk about Uriah Hall. How much, other than just name, is this win over Anderson Silva to you as far as Uriah Hall goes and his sensitive fucking ass? That's what I thought.
It means, honestly, dude, I feel like I hate these fights.
Right.
I hate these fights for everybody. Well, I don't hate the fight for Anderson, because if Anderson gets lucky and lands a crazy kick or something, he gets to go out on a high note against a decent opponent. I hate this fight for Uriah Hall. And then I hate what everybody is able to do with it. Now, Uriah Hall has a knockout win over Anderson Silva. But I'm sorry, to me, being a lifelong fan of this sport,
right?
And I saw the guy that made Forrest Griffin look like he didn't belong in the sport. I saw the guy that when Vitor Belfort was fucking decapitating everybody in the first minute of the fight, I saw that guy front kick him in the fucking chin.
Yep.
I saw Anderson do incredible things. So for me, Uriah Hall does not have a knockout win over Anderson Silva. He beat somebody.
Won the Spider.
Yeah. Fair. You know what? I like that. He beat Anderson Silva. He beat Peter Parker. That motherfucker didn't beat Spider-Man. He didn't beat the Spider. I'm just sorry. And it's not a knock to Uriah because he didn't have the opportunity to fight the Spider. But for me, real shit. I know I'm a BJ Penn dick rider, but I'm gonna go on and say same thing with Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall didn't heel hook BJ Penn. He didn't heel hook the guy that got his black belt in 4 fucking years and fucking beat
Are you talking about Ryan Hall?
Oh, who'd I say?
Or Uriah?
My bad. Yeah,
you're good. I want to make sure.
Same jive, dog. Ryan Hall did not heel hook BJ Penn. He heel hooked the fucking coked out, fucking drunk 40 something. Like, I just don't think these fights are fair, man. You take these aging veterans who are just like clearly past the twilight of their career. You put them in there with somewhat of a young lion.
Right.
The young lion eats them, and then it's like, oh God, you submitted BJ Penn or you knocked out Anderson Silva. It just seems a little disingenuous, to be completely honest. Like, it rubs me wrong. I'm sorry. I don't love it.
Yeah, no, to me, a win over Anderson Silva is like the same as a win over Shogun Hua at this point. The Nogueira brothers, they don't really mean much. You're like, okay, cool. If you're not paying attention, you're like, oh shit, he beat so and so. That's cool. I'm gonna watch this dude. But anyone that even like for the last handful of years, don't know. It wasn't Spider. It was this Anderson Silva, 45-year-old Anderson Silva. So
when you win is extremely important. You think about this. Matt Mitrione and Ryan Bader both have knockout wins over Fedor. Now, if you rewind back to when Fedor was fighting Crow Cop, if one of those fucking shitbird ass fuck losers would have starched Fedor at that time, the world would have caught on fire.
Oh yeah.
It matters when you do it. Like that's why it's so important when guys fight in their prime. And then what happens in that fight is very important. When Rampage beat Chuck in Pride, that was very important. And then when he beat him again in the UFC, when they were both still right in that range, very important. They could fight now, and who really gives a fuck? I mean, fuck, Chuck might knock Rampage out now. Look, prime example. And I know I'm completely in the weeds here, guys, but Tito and Chuck.
Yeah, Tito and Chuck.
Chuck beat the fuck out of Tito twice when they were both fighting. And then they fought again 37 years later, and Tito knocks Chuck out. Tito Ortiz don't knock out Chuck Liddell. God damn it, that's not the way the universe works. But if motherfuckers fight in their late 40s, their early 50s, it's stupid, sort of, man. So in some weird way, I feel like if we're going to let these veterans compete, they
Yeah.
need to be fighting each other, dog. It's not fair to let them fight young guys that are just going to make them look stupid on their way out. It's not fair.
And you're just setting them up to look stupid. Yeah, like I said, look stupid, and just just for a name. That's it. That's all they're doing it for.
And it's not even the real name anymore. It's
It's
a
not.
shell of that name. It's unfair.
And anyone that knows will know that shit. All right. I was throwing out the fight announcements. Whoa. Okay. Wonder Boy was Jeff Neal.
Whoa, I hadn't heard that.
That is interesting.
That's fucking amazing. I love that fight. Now we're gonna see what time it is with Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's a bad motherfucker, but now we about to see, like, you can knock out the motherfuckers that can't strike. But one thing you gotta hand Wonder Boy, the Tyron Woodley fights notwithstanding,
Right.
the motherfucker can strike.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
he don't usually. It's ironic that Tyron Woodley has had the most success striking against Wonder Boy.
Right.
Well, other than Pettis with the one big punch, but like Pettis was getting his ass whooped up until that point in that fight. But like, ironically enough, Tyron Woodley's the one dude. I tell you, man, I think the threat of grappling, fighting a real like Habib. Habib does very well at the striking because people are so scared to death of his grappling.
Oh,
MMA
yeah.
is such a different fucking sort of a different thing. Like, I think Wonder Boy was so worried about Tyron's grappling that it enabled Tyron to knock the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
Like, if they were in a kickboxing match, I just don't imagine that Tyron has that same success against Wonder Boy.
No, like you said, Woodley doesn't have the kind of wrestling that he's rumored to have because we haven't seen that shit in fucking forever. Then for sure Wonder Boy would have knocked the shit out of him. He's a nice fight, honestly. Amanda Hebas versus Michelle Watterson, UFC 257.
Lovely fight.
Yeah,
lovely fight. We'll find out exactly how good Rebus is. I love that.
Yeah, it's a big fight. It's also a big fight for Michelle Watterson because it could be like her make or break at this point. Like, she loses this fight, you could kiss all the champ mom shit goodbye.
Yeah.
Chukagian versus Calvillo. Here's the award for who gives a shit.
Bro, there are just fighters you don't like, and I'm sorry. I don't know what it is about Chukagian.
I can't stand her.
Every time I see her name, I'm just like, why do we got? Can she just get beat? I gotta keep watching her fight. I don't know what it is, but like, come on, Calvillo, don't fucking test positive for pot or nothing.
Seriously,
but beaten for fuck's sake.
The thing about Chukagian with me though is that she is fucking annoying. I don't know why. Like, that's all I could think of is I'm annoyed.
You know,
she got the fight against. You know what it was? Here it is. She got the fight against Shevchenko, and she was like, "I'm gonna beat her. I'm gonna gas her out. I'm gonna be moving. I'm gonna hit her, and when she tries to hit me back, I'm not even gonna be there anymore." And that's when they're going like, "Have you seen this Shevchenko fight, chick? You aren't leading this dance. Shevchenko is gonna smack the tar out of you." And then what happened? Exactly that.
Chukagian, for having such a unique name, has the most unforgettable face in the world for me.
Seriously.
I can't picture her fucking face. I don't know what she looks like. I've watched her fight 132 times, and I still don't know what she looks like. She's just so forgettable for me.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I'm being a dick, but yeah, like Chukagian. Fuck off with Chukagian.
What can I say? Nothing personal. I just
right.
don't care. All right. Here's one that annoyed the fuck out of me and kind of continues to. Mike Perry versus Tim Means, UFC 255 was supposed to be Robbie Lawler. Lawler out due to injury. A lot of people were like, "Hey, give him Hazmat or Hamzat Chumayev," and no, they made Hamzat versus Leon Edwards. So we got Tim Means from Mike Perry. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, if we can't have Robbie, I think Tim Means and Mike Perry. Yeah, I mean, it'll be a fun fight. It'll be a good scrap. Perry will probably lose and be on his way out of the UFC more than likely.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, like I said, fucking Robbie Lawler, but Tim Means is a very suitable replacement to keep it an entertaining fight.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at it.
Right. Here's an interesting one. I like it. Dominic Reyes or Jiri Prochaska. Nice little risky fight for Reyes, who's, I know he just lost the title fight, the belt to, or he lost the title fight to good old Jan, who we'll be talking about here soon, shortly. But whenever Jiri, I think, gets him right back in that, title shot discussion, but a loss against him puts him into, gatekeeper status, sort of. What do you think about this fight?
I love it. I think that Jiri sort of deserves a chance, especially with light heavyweight being sort of completely up in the air right now and a little light anyways. And also, Dominic needs a fight that he should win, but he also needs to sort of prove himself at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, look, all y'all can say whatever y'all want. He lost that John Jones fight. He lost. In the books, it was an L. And then he definitely lost to Jan. So he's coming off of 2 fucking definitive losses in a row. The man needs a W.
Dude, what the fuck is it about guys that fight John Jones coming back not looking the same? Like, I know we have Glover versus Thiago Santos this weekend, and I'm hyped about Thiago Santos coming back, but I can't help but feel like we're going to see like a show of that dude, because it's almost like John Jones, no matter how good you do against him, takes something from you every time. It's fucking insane.
I mean, I don't want to get into it really because we got into it so much last week. But yeah, I think John gets a lot of flack because of how annoying he is.
Yeah.
He's a real easy dude to hate.
Yeah.
And then he had the steroid thing, so people, it's even more. But honestly, dog, if you judge John just based off of what happens in that cage, even the fights that are close,
Right.
John is still hurting you. He's kicking you in the knees. He's kicking you in the legs. He's landing his shots. Like, nobody dominates John. If anything, you're like, well, maybe John lost that fight.
Right.
Dominic did really good. Thiago did really good. But John hurts you. John hits you everywhere. Like, John, honestly, in the cage, I don't give a fuck what nobody says about Habib. Habib's a very dominant fighter and he looks good right now. But when you're just talking about overall legacy and career and shit, dog, nobody touches John Jones.
No way.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see what Reyes has left, and if Yuri deserves a shot at some point. Cyril Game versus JDS for UFC 256. Hype for that one. I like that one.
Love that too. You know what, man? I always like to give fucking Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby shit. I'm a Joe Silva mark, but you know what? I also like to be a fair guy. They've been low key killing it, man. These are some really good. That's a great matchup too, man. That's good. Good matchmaking.
Makes me wonder if they like call that dude like, hey, we'll give you a couple grand, give us a couple fights here, see what happens, and he just goes, all right, here you go.
I'll tell you what, man, these are some pretty good fights, man. These are really, really good fights for both guys. You know, Cyril Gane has that sort of, could he be the guy, the next big thing at heavyweight? And then you got JDS, who's been there forever. We all know he sort of has the potential on the right night to knock anybody out. So can you kind of take out this hungry up and comer? Very good fight, man. Love it. Love it.
Agreed. Too bad we don't have pressers anymore, says Raider. Hardy Lewis would be fun at that presser.
Oh,
Hardy Lewis would just be like destroying him on the microphone.
You know what I love almost more than anything in life? Nothing brings me more joy, and I mean this, man. Nothing brings me more joy than seeing a bully get bullied. Than seeing a bully meet another bigger alpha male that's not a bully, but like Derek Lewis is a fucking god amongst men.
Yeah.
I love that he goes at because he's such a big, like, who's gonna bully him? Like, nobody. You might even beat him up in a fight, but you do not bully Derek Lewis. It don't happen, period, point blank. You might beat him up, but you don't bully him. Like, I love that, like, Derek would be able to come out and be able to poke Greg Hardy. And Greg Hardy might have this sort of, I'm an up-and-coming tough guy. When you're fighting, all due respect to the Maurice Greens of the world,
right.
That don't work against motherfucking Derek Lewis, son. No. He is not going to be shook at all. He's going to get right in your face. He's going to say shit that irks you. And guess what? It ain't going to be a goddamn thing you can do about it. Even when that cage door shuts and you get your chance, come get you some. Yeah. Derek Lewis is going to be there the whole time. He's going to pull your whole cart. He's going to be smarter, wittier, and funnier, stronger, bigger, and taller, and a better. I love that. I would love to see Greg Hardy have to fight a guy who's going to talk shit, who's going to eat it, and what you going to do about it? Right. Get up, throw the table over. Like, you're going to be with a man who's not scared of you a bit. Like, you going to be nervous. How that going to feel when you got Derek Lewis up in your face? Like, what you want to do about it? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Greg Hardy be terrified, but you definitely will not be the alpha male at the table no longer, and that will be apparent. At the very least, you're going to have to fight real hard to get it, for sure.
Not only that, you might beat him, but you're going to pay for it. You're damn sure going to pay for it.
So. Right. This is not Maurice Green. And again, to give Hardy the little bit of respect, he did go with Volkov for 5 rounds. So, all right, he's not a complete chump. Then again, Volkov danced around with Derek Lewis for 5 rounds, and Derek Lewis went whop one time and slept Volkov. So, Derek Lewis will sleep you if you don't get fucking too cute with him. I fucking love that. I would love even damn the pressers. Let's just do them like this. I just want to hear Derek Lewis run his mouth to fucking Greg Hardy, and Greg Hardy just had to take it because he can't do nothing about it.
Greg Hardy ain't smart enough to say anything back anyway. Brad Tavares or Shoeface at 257. Okay, that's solid.
Fun fight.
Antonio Carlos Jr. I agree with Fred. Hall was supposed to be Silva. Honestly, Silva should have been facing Weidman or Jocko. Agreed. Hall has to go for guys like Gastelum rematch or Yoel Romero.
Silva should have been fighting Weidman for sure.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. That's the perfect.
Why hasn't that happened yet?
Yeah, I don't know. But putting him in there with Hall was just ridiculous. And like I said, it almost kind of sucks for Hall because it's just like, oh, okay, so you knocked out Anderson in his last fight ever where he's clearly a shell of himself. Like, real talk, I know I always talk shit about GSP, but if we wanted to really get into this pound for pound discussion and shit, and even with me taking all my bullshit aside, GSP did come back and win a belt at a weight above that. That's true.
Yeah.
He does deserve his credit. But if we're keeping it a bean, when that fight didn't favor him, he didn't want it.
Right.
When Anderson was the champion and Anderson wanted it and the whole world wanted it, he didn't want it because he knew it wasn't a good fight. When Bisping was there and the motherfucker's got one eye, can't see, and he's this close to retirement, you come back and take the fight. Like, you deserve credit because you won, but it was also Bisping's very last fight, and literally a year and a half later, the dude's popping his eyeball out of his head. Literally, he could not see. So it's like all these things sort of matter, bro. You didn't come back and beat Robert Whittaker. Look, let me tell you something. George, come back and beat Izzy, and I'll suck your dick at 3rd and Main. Like, you come back and beat Izzy, and fucking, but you know you won't. You won't. You don't even want to come back and fight Usman, let alone Izzy. Now, I will say that George was smart, but again, catching guys at the twilight of their career, beating the piss out of them, and then taking a bunch of credit for it rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fair enough. I'd rather see Nico Press with Mike Perry. Agreed. I really would too.
Yeah,
but
that would be a fun fight. That would be a fun
fight. How surprised are you that John didn't kill that guy? So I don't know if you saw it, but there's a security video from his house. Some dude walked onto John Jones' driveway and started trying to break into cars and shit, or got into one of the trucks or whatever. And then John Jones walked out of his garage with a shotgun. Dude takes off running, and John Jones goes after his ass with his shotgun. So how surprised are you that John didn't kill that guy?
I suppose very surprised. But beyond all that, I guess my first initial thing would be, where we at now? Albuquerque, New Mexico? Is that where he's at?
ABQ.
Have they taken the new crown for the dumbest fucking people on earth?
Seriously.
Listen, again, newsflash, guys. I don't know if you guys understand this, and apparently the world does. Apparently nobody really gets it. John Jones is the baddest motherfucker standing on 2 feet. If you want to rob somebody, I would suggest you pick anybody on earth except for that dude, John Jones. Like, who are these people? Not only, and if you know anything about John, A, with no weapons, butt naked, John Jones is the baddest man on earth.
And he'll kill you.
B, he's got a fucking attack dog German Shepherd that he trained to a word. And C, now apparently he knows how to shoot guns and shit. Leave that man alone. He snorts coke. He's fucking nuts.
Hey,
y'all better stop fucking playing with John Jones.
This motherfucker trying to become John Wick and shit on coke. All right, stop fucking with him.
Is like the dude is already the baddest man on the planet with no weapons, and now he's learning how to shoot guns, and he's got a big ass attack dog. I suggest y'all don't try to rob John Jones. Like, are you guys? There's a bunch of other houses on that block, buddy. Pick another one. I promise you got a better chance. Like, do your research. You are picking literally the worst house on earth, short of a Tim Kennedy or an ex like Navy SEAL dude. You don't want to rob that guy. If that guy catches you, he is going to put you in a hurt locker from hell. That's if he don't shoot you. Like, dude, please, no. What the fuck's the matter with you guys?
all due respect, John Jones is not Anthony Lionheart Smith.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, right. All due respect, exactly. John grabs you, you're in bad shape, buddy.
Yep.
And that's when John's coked out playing games. I do, again, all the bullshit that people say about John Jones, I do believe that he absolutely loves his family, and I do believe that he is somewhat of a normal guy. I think he loves his daughters. I think that if you broke in John Jones' house, he would rip your motherfucking head off your shoulders. I think he
Yep.
thought you were gonna come fuck with his kids. Good luck to if John thought you was about to hurt his kids and he got his paws on you, bro. You are about to get ripped apart. Pick another. You're gonna wish the dog bit you.
Dude, you get that on video. That's just gonna be viral forever.
Bro, he's gonna throw you through walls. Like, I don't think y'all understand. Like, God rest his soul. As mean and as vicious as Kimbo looked, John Jones is 10 times that mean and vicious in real life. He might look a little goofy and he's skinny. That man can fight well. He knows how to hurt you bad. Don't be going and fooling around by that man's house. Now he knows how to shoot guns and shit. Y'all better stop playing with John Jones, please. Stop playing with him.
Yeah, notice how he ran after the motherfucker.
Like, he's ready to rock and roll. What the fuck? Like,
not only is he ready, he's looking for it at this point. He wants to find out if he could do this shit. So
yeah.
Leave that man alone, motherfuckers. Leave him alone. Fucking ABQ crackheads. We know.
No shit. What the fuck? Y'all better pick a different house, you fucking idiots.
There's only one guy. There's only one crackhead I know that I would send over there just for fun. All right. What y'all think about Hardy missing weight at heavyweight? It should be 300 in my opinion. Let these big fucks fight. He didn't miss weight. Okay, never mind. You're right. He missed at first.
Right, and then he made it.
He ended up like being like a pound and a half under. Should it be at 300? No, that's too much, but Brock Lesnar would have loved that.
Listen, I think it's ridiculous. I gave him shit. Do I think about missing heavy? No, it shouldn't be 300 fucking pounds. It should be 265 because guess what? There's a lot of massive men in the UFC.
Yeah.
Everybody from Brock Lesnar to Stefan Struve to Alexander Volkov, who is 6'10", Mark Hunt. There's been some big boys in there. And for whatever reason, they all make 265. Yeah. Greg fucking Shardy Hardy, we're not making new rules for you, fat boy. Lose a little bit of muscle, a little bit of weight. Fuck off. Like, Jesus Christ. If you can't cut to 265, lay off the fucking steroids. Homeboy, you ain't that tall, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, you know what I mean? What the fuck? Yeah. Like, you're not Sammy Schilt, my dude. Make 265. No, to be fair, like you said, he made it on the second go round.
Right.
Come on, man. You can't be missing weight at heavyweight, bro.
Seriously. Jeremy, what's up, brother? Yeah, pound for pound and the greatest of all time is two different things. A lot of people don't really know the difference between the two. I don't think it's that they don't know the difference. I don't think they care. Because I'm so tired of talking about pound for pound, honestly.
Yeah, it just depends on it. Everybody's opinion is different.
It's an opinion.
Opinion is different. Yeah, everybody's opinion is different.
Kobe Bryant could have, rest in peace. Kobe Bryant could have won 20 championships, and there's still been one or two assholes that goes, Michael Jordan was better.
Well, right.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter. But
it's sort of just an opinion thing.
But Jeremiah makes a good point. If GSP came back and beat Rocco, Jockey, or Romero, that would have been amazing.
Exactly. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing, and I respect GSP as sort of a businessman and a smart guy for this, but he would have never took those fights.
No, hell no.
But that's also why BJ Penn's my favorite fighter.
Right.
It's also why I respect Anderson Silva, even if it was James Irvin and Forrest Griffin that he fought at 205. I don't blame George. And listen, he was smart, right? The way his career reads, he won the middleweight belt against Michael Bisping. But he would have never taken those fights because he wouldn't have won them. So no guts, no glory, but I understand why he wouldn't have.
Look, like you said, man, he's not an idiot. GSP's not a smart dude.
Right.
John Jones is a bit off in the head too. Like we were saying, he's in John Wick. 285 pounds would be a freak show. You'd get a bunch of super fat dudes just trying to. It'd go back to like the UFC 1 fucking era. I'd watch though.
Well, of course.
John is the GOAT because he was the current power pound. Best power. There you go. Exactly.
I ain't necessarily mad at that. I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, and the second John Jones puts his foot in the cage for his first heavyweight bout, regardless of who it's against, because we know he's more than likely going to win, he'll be pound for pound again.
Let me say this, though. I do say that, whereas I do agree with that in this very moment,
Sure.
I think that if Khabib never fights again, that doesn't last for very long. I'll put it to you like this, and we're going to talk about it in a moment. For me, Izzy's one fight away from winning that spot. If Izzy beats Jan, sorry, Khabib, you are no longer the. I mean, Izzy's also undefeated,
Right.
and at that point, if he moves up, like, sorry, like if Izzy gets that again, we won't get into, but like that. So for now, yes, but in order to keep that, Khabib has got to keep fighting. If he never fights again, that won't last for long. I'm sorry. Like Justin Gaethje's his last 3 wins were very credible, but if those end up being the last 3 fights of his career ever, and the sport continues to keep going without him, it's somebody's going to surpass him.
Gotcha. Stephen Bonner versus Anderson Silva was something else. Silva made that look easy because there was everyone would have made it look easy. That dude's just on.
That was wild. That was a wild fight.
What the fuck? I just want to say, Kairos. I just want to say, I always thought you were a Pepsi guy more than a Coca-Cola.
You know what's funny about that, Kairos? I am. My punk ass kids like Coke, so I got stuck with this nasty thing. Shit, I am more of a Pepsi guy. Quite frankly, I'm more of a Mountain Dew guy. I know my fucking heathen redneck fucking hillbilly shit showing, but I like the citrusy shit. But the punk ass kids, the Coke was the only thing that was cold. So
I feel like a bitch. I'm over here with coffee, like Starbucks.
Usually that's what I like to have. Is usually coffee. The Coke's fucking thick on my throat. Also, I had to almost left my kid out earlier, so my throat's a little hoarse from screaming at her.
Colby Jorge, who you got for badass American belt? Well, I'll answer that. They're both taking an L today or tomorrow if shit continues the way it's going. They're both gonna take a huge L. One's gonna have to shut the fuck up, and the other one's gonna have to find a new fucking gimmick. So we'll see. But if there was a fight between them two, who's the winner?
As much as it pains me to say it, probably Colby.
Yeah.
I suppose Jorge could pull off the old Ben Askren. He could land it, and not necessarily a flying knee, but he could land a big shot and maybe get Colby out of there. But if it goes 3 to 5 rounds, I think eventually Colby, ends up fucking fucking him. Whatever Usman did to Masvidal, I think Colby could, and probably a little easier, seeing as how they've extensively trained with each other in the past. So, like, it pains me to say it, but I would have to favor Colby going into that, knowing that Masvidal has the potential to lay him in the first round or two, to lay him out with any strike. But it's like, if he does not land that perfect strike, it's Colby's fight to lose.
And I understand that Jorge's wrestling and grappling is very underrated. Totally agree. Sure. But I would have a hard time saying it's as good as Colby. But maybe we'll get to see it. So, all right. Jeremiah says, I was about to say Izzy's on his way, 100%. If Adesanya beats Jan, do you think John Jones drops back to 205? Well, first of all, let's talk about Izzy moving up to fight Jan. Now, it wasn't completely unexpected, but I did not expect the announcement when Dana White gave it. So I think they say March or February, sometime in 2021 early, we're going to get Izzy Adesanya taking on Jan Blachowicz for the 205 belt. I mean, hey, I'm here for it. There's not a lot more left. There's not a lot left at 85.
Son, I'm more than here for it. I fucking absolutely love and adore it. Since Robert Whittaker beat Cannonier, I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck what y'all say. Whittaker didn't do shit in the Till fight or the Cannonier fight that makes me think he has anything for Izzy. I just don't feel like there's a need for the rematch. I said that right after Whittaker beat fucking Cannonier.
Yeah.
So I, for one, am ecstatic that Izzy's moving up and trying to fight for that 205 belt, because it's amazing on a bunch of levels, right? We get to see Izzy tested, right? And that's what we really want right now. Look, I know the Yoel fight was boring, but nonetheless, he beat Yoel, steamrolled Robert Whittaker, steamrolled all Derek Brunson, the whole most of them, steamrolled Paul Costa. He has looked fan-fucking-tastic. Had a knockdown, drag out war with Kelvin Gastelum. And let me tell you, quick side note here. Everybody points at the fact that, Khabib's never been hurt in a fight. And don't get me wrong, that is super impressive. But is that more impressive, or is the fact that Adesanya got the fuck knocked out of him several times against fucking
survived.
Kelvin Gastelum and said, I will fucking die in here. And then came out in that 5th round and beat, like, for me, like, it's impressive that Habib hasn't had to do that. But I almost put more stock in knowing that Izzy can get dragged into that deep water and still swim. Like, he's almost more of a complete fighter, in my opinion, because of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say I respect it more. That's all I say. I respect the Izzy having to fight like through adversity.
Then have never faced the adversity at all.
Right.
Okay. Anyways, quick shot at Habib.
Yeah.
So we want to see what Izzy can do. Sure. Him moving up to 205 and fighting Jan is perfect because A, it's a very good test, but let's keep it a bean here. Jan has looked good, but if you get to looking through Jan's got a loss to Thiago. He got some loss. Look, let me tell y'all something right now. Let me go ahead and ruin the end of the story for y'all. Izzy about to fuck Jan Blachowicz up. He about to beat the shit out of that big white boy. And Jan, because I'm telling you, Jan has power and he's aggressive. And if he clips Izzy, I might be eating the shit out of some crow. I just think that Izzy's too good of a striker. I don't think he gets hit by Jan, and I think he puts him right on the kisser, and I think he steamrolls Jan in the 1st or 2nd round, and it puts him on a whole different plateau. Now, the discussion going back to John Jones, it gets very different, so let's just keep it here for a moment. I love the fight. I love that Izzy's going to get a good test. I personally think that he's going to fucking pass it with flying colors, which makes the division and the sport in general even more interesting. And I've got something else I'm going to throw in there just as a thing once we get to John Jones. But that's sort of my thoughts on that. What do you think about the fight? Like, what are your kind of like overall thoughts? I assume you're in the same fucking boat. What's not the fucking like here, unless you're fucking a New Zealander or a massive Robert Whittaker fan who's not on board with this? But go ahead,
dude. I mean, look, 205 is wide open, sure. But the reason I'm so excited about this fight, first of all, I'm with you. Izzy's gonna win that fight. He's gonna win that fight. And the first thing I thought about when when they announced this fight was Thiago Santos. I'm like, if Thiago can take out Jan, Izzy's gonna take out Jan, and it's not gonna be, and it'll be easier, right? But what I love about this is that it gets us closer to Izzy versus John Jones, because there's no way the old king doesn't look back and goes, "This motherfucker, all right, bitch, all right, I'm gonna take this heavyweight belt, and I'm gonna come back and get my old belt. We're gonna make some money off of this shit. We're gonna make a trilogy out of this shit, probably." And it's going down. It's gonna be the biggest fight. Of course, every fucking fight is the biggest fight, but that's legitimately could go down as the biggest fight in light heavyweight history if John Jones comes back to take his fucking crown, dude. That would be fucking wild.
All right. Yes, absolutely. I agree with everything. And then all this fucking sort of drama we've had with John Jones and Izzy sort of gets justified. Now, I'm going to take it even a step further. Now, listen, I know all the shit that I'm about to say is a bunch of hyperbole. Most of it probably won't happen, but just ride with me here. This is what I would love to see happen. I think this would be very interesting.
Right.
On the last broadcast for the Uriah Hall Anderson Silva fight, we've seen that they did the big rollout for the Ultimate Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've recently said, I think it's going to be bantamweights and middleweights.
Okay.
Who the coaches are very important. It's very integral to having a good season and a season that people really want to tune in for. Now, the problem with that is they usually make the coaches fight, and that fight doesn't happen until long after because you don't want to ruin it while the show is being fucking filmed, so on and so forth. None of us like that.
Right.
I was thinking, what if you did that? But you need the coaches to have a rivalry, right? You need there to be smoke, or it's not as sexy.
Otherwise, it doesn't matter.
Right. I thought, what if we do this? Make Izzy and John the coaches.
Yeah.
But don't have them fighting each other yet. Have John fighting for the heavyweight belt, training to fight for the heavyweight belt, and have Izzy training to fight for the 205 belt while they're filming it, with the understanding that if they both win, they meet at 205 and they fight for all the marbles. Or fuck it, maybe they meet at heavyweight. I don't know. And Izzy can go for all 3 belts. Either way, Izzy's the middleweight belt. He's the champ. Izzy will have 2 belts at that point. John will have 1 belt, but technically 205 is still his. They meet somewhere and they fight for all the goddamn marbles in the world. They're both undefeated. It's the shit that fucking Vince McMahon gets boners over in the middle of the night. And you don't necessarily postpone that because they're not fighting each other during the filming of the show. They're just picking at each other and building that, but they're still training for their own respective fights in these own directions. I was thinking of that earlier. I thought that would be very, very fucking interesting. And
that would be fucking insane. And that'd be one of those things where you need a crowd for that one.
Oh well, yeah, but that's the thing. By the time that the Ultimate Fighter films, the finale, Izzy fights Jan, and I mean, look, at this point, Stipe has to fight Francis, and then John would have to fight the winner of that to get that belt. So you'd be talking late next year, anyways. But it would be for all the fucking marbles, Jack.
Hopefully, you can get a crowd for that one. That'd be insane. But besides, Dana White's gonna want to maximize as much because they're gonna be asking for a lot of fucking money to make that fight happen.
And can you think about that? Can you imagine? Say Izzy does move up. He beats John at 205. John actually gets the heavyweight belt, and they just do the fight with them at heavyweight, and Izzy's going for his 3rd belt.
They'll be calling him the GOAT if he wins that shit.
And it's crazy how fast this sport changes, right? Look at what we're talking about. Look at what we're talking about with Khabib now. You imagine Izzy's 2 fights away from taking it from John and Khabib. If he beats Jan and then beats John at heavyweight, hypothetically, it would, bro. 2 years from now, we could be looking at Izzy as our fucking Ali. That'd be even something better. I mean, our Floyd Mayweather, whatever the fuck.
That'd be fucking crazy. Kyra says both they're talking about Jorge and Kobe. Both their MAGA powers are gone. It's anyone's game now. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Everybody slow down in the Biden W. Not so fast, my friend. Dana White's got this. I don't give a fuck about who's gonna steal our fucking tax money next year or next 4 years. All right, they're both thieves. Honestly though, what's left for 185 by Adesanya? Maybe Irma said if he beats Till, exactly why he's moving up.
Right. Exactly.
This is stylistically the perfect matchup for Adesanya. Agreed. Whitaker turned down the Izzy rematch. Dana said no, and Whitaker came out and immediately fought this. He goes, no, I didn't turn it down. Now I didn't hear what he actually told Dana White, but what I'm assuming is Dana White gave him a date, and Whitaker is like, nah.
Right. That's how that goes. Usually when somebody turns down a fight, it's because they throw a date out or something. And the particular fighter's like, listen, I'm celebrating Thanksgiving this year. I think I could be wrong, but what I heard was Robert Whitaker is awaiting his 4th child. He's been fighting a lot. He wants to enjoy the holidays. I think his kid's due in like January or February. So I think his vibe is, he's not training for nothing else right now. He's going to enjoy the holidays. He's going to prepare for his new child. And then, I'll hit y'all up in March or April once my kid's a month or 2 old and I've had a chance to sort of, and I mean, listen, fucking bro, you deserve it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Go have your child, enjoy the holidays. DW, you guys got plenty of fighters on deck. Fuck off. And look, to be fair, they did. They just sent Izzy up to fight Jan. We're all happy as larks because of it. Everything's crazy. 185
will be there after his kid's born. He's able to enjoy that.
Right.
And this is just a lead up to Izzy versus John. Imagine if Izzy wins and they wait until John possibly wins the heavyweight strap. Biggest fight in history. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of ifs and maybes there in this. But like hypothetically, if it did, boy, would that be fucking crazy.
Right. And it's quite possible. And a lot of things have to drop in the right spot's about to happen, but it could happen.
And what's crazy about that? Just in our crazy hypothetical scenario here, if that did happen, it would have just as big implications for John. If Izzy beat John and hypothetically was the first man to beat John Jones and become the first man to become the 3-weight champion, going all the way up to heavyweight, it would be undeniable that at least for that very moment, he would be the ultimate GOAT, period. No question about it. No doubt about it, period.
No question.
On the flip side, if John beats Stipe or Francis and wins the belt, and then an undefeated Izzy moves up and John beats him, y'all, it's over. Forget about it. John rides off and y'all can all suck his dick. It's like, if that fight happens, whoever wins, dog, they win it all. It's for all the marbles, dog. If we get there, like, woo, that would be I mean, when you talk about legacy and what it all means, like if we got there with those gentlemen and they didn't suffer defeat getting to that point, that would be just the biggest fight legacy-wise you could ever possibly make.
Look, real talk, man. That Matt Hamill fight shouldn't even count now. But if that happens, go back and expunge that bullshit and get rid of that L. He's undefeated. He's undefeated.
Bro, I don't know what y'all all be out there on. Like, for me, I stopped counting that fight 13 seconds after it was over. Like, that fight, John Jones is undefeated. Izzy is undefeated. I mean, I don't bit more count that on John's record than the man on the moon. And quite frankly, he's still a champion in my book. I know he's not holding the belt, but like he
didn't get beat.
Yeah, John's been a champion since he beat Shogun that night, in my opinion. Until somebody takes it from that man in that cage, he's a champ. Period.
No, exactly. No, I'm with you on that. All right. Next up, what are the Diaz bros up to? Who's Nate got next, you think? And is Nick ever returning? Hashtag Stockton, hashtag Tuna. As far as Nate goes, there's no word yet. He was negotiating, and then you know how it is. Then he wasn't, and that dude's not beyond fucking sitting out 2-3 years and then getting another fight and then coming back and being relevant. It's just how he is. Nick has been training pretty consistently. You can see it all over social media and all over everybody else's social media that trains with him. As far as like who could fight or when he's coming back, who knows? Who against? I don't know. I would love to see it against Condi just to run it back for the hell of it. But a lot of people keep throwing out Jorge Masvidal so he can come in and avenge his little brother's loss. But I don't know. He's been training, so we'll see.
I think both of them will fight. I think both of them will fight in 2021. I think we see the return of Nick Diaz. I have no idea against who, but I don't think he's doing all this training for nothing. Right. And Nate's out of it. They're out of their fucking mind. I love the Diaz brothers, but they're out of their But listen, they're out of their mind for better and for worse. They're out of their mind in that if you rub them the wrong way, they'll never fight again. But they're also out of their mind in that if the right opportunity presents itself and you rub them the right way, they'll fight January 3rd. Like, Nate Diaz will fight your mama tomorrow if the situation's right. Like,
for the right money, for the right change.
Right. And probably a lot of other things, incentives, where it's at. Like, there's a lot of shit that goes into these things these days. Nate has a whole team of fighters. I'm sure there's a lot of things they could do to make him happy. But if they do, make no mistake about it, it's not because they're worried or fearful or don't want to get hurt. Like, they're always they might not never fight again, but if they get the right situation, they're on the same card tomorrow too. Like, that's why you see Nate all of a sudden just come back and fucking fight whoever the fuck, like, out of nowhere. Like, Nate, they will fight. You just got to make them the right offer.
Right. And if y'all are wondering, you can go look at Nate Diaz's Instagram. When he was talking about it right here, I actually looked at it. He just drove his ass to San Francisco, and he's outside. The last fucking thing in the story, outside El Nino Training Center. By the way, I've been there. It's a dope fucking place. I got to do a drop in a couple years ago. It's a dope fucking gym to go to for real. But it's fucking 7:30 at night in California. That man's about it. That's his life.
Let me tell you something right now. The Dustin Connor fight is signed, right?
Right. I don't remember. Is it?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. I think it's like January 24th. I think that's a done deal. For the sake of argument, for the sake of making my goddamn point here, let's say that's a done deal. Son, if Dustin drops out 3 days before that fight and they call Nate and they give him the right number,
let's go. The trilogy's in.
You'll see Nate fight in 6 weeks. So that's what I'm saying. Nate might never fight again, or under the right circumstances, Nate might fight Connor in January. If it hits the fan right, like, again, Nate was on a boat getting drunk when he fought Connor the first time. And he won. He's always ready to rock and roll. If the situation is right, we could see them back sooner rather than later. But to answer your question, I do think they both fight next year. No idea who, but they will fight next year. Both.
Yeah, and Nate's about it. That dude's always training no matter what. He ain't waiting for a call to start camp. He's just doing it because that's who he is. All right.
For the record, I think Nick is too. I don't think Nick's always in fight shape, but like these videos of Nick Diaz drinking and drunk surface. But you have to keep in mind, man, Nick's been a lifelong vegan. Mm-hmm. He stays in triathlons. He stays doing jujitsu. He might not be competing, but I don't think that Nick's not the sort of guy that like lets himself.
Right.
Like, he's a fucking ninja, man. He's a real martial artist. He will be like that forever. So don't Nick be out there. He's active too.
Poirier McGregor is not official, so who knows? We'll see.
Fucking Christ.
We'll see. Just make it fucking official already.
God damn, I know. For fuck's sake.
All right. We'll talk about this weekend very quick, and then we'll go into a little last segment and get out of here. Just looking at the shit, Anthony Bertrand's back in the UFC. No shit. That dude's, if y'all don't know, I've gone down a train at his gym down in Tucson. He's a dope fucking dude, but he hasn't fought in the UFC in forever. Yeah, so he's back. I think Gustavo Lopez, Max Griffin's on this card. Okay. Darren, the damage is on this fucking card with this awful goddamn tattoo. Dude, Marcus Rogerio de Lima still in the UFC. I did not know that. He's got an undefeated Alexander Romanov. Trevin Giles or Bevan Lewis, not bad. This is an ESPN card, so it's not bad. Claudio Gadelha against Jonan, I guess how you would say it. Then Ian Heinisch is back taking on Brandon Allen. Raoni Barcelo taking on Kali Taha. Andrei Arlovsky still fucking doing it against Tanner Bozer. And, of course, the main event, the one everyone's talking about, Thiago Santos against Glover Teixeira. Winner more than likely sets himself up for a title shot at some point, depending on what happens with Izzy and Jan. So what are you thinking on that main event? Who are you picking?
I mean, look, one would assume Thiago Santos, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's kind of hard to pick Glover, even though Glover's obviously like that quintessential fucking wily veteran, like who could always win. I don't know, dog. I was never high on Anthony Smith. I know he's a great guy, decent commentator. Mm-hmm. The whole I was never sold on him as a talent. I feel like he beat some over the hill guys. I feel like he beat the right dudes. Rashad and Shogun and shit. I mean, then what was it like? He beat Ozdemir or somebody. Mm-hmm. He had a couple legit wins on his run, but I was just never sold on him. So Glover beating him, it was a good win for Glover, no doubt. I just don't think Thiago Santos is that. I do think that Glover is old. I think that what we saw from Glover last time was sort of, I could be wrong, but I feel like that might have been like his last call for alcohol. Like, I don't think he comes out and does that to Thiago Santos. I could be wrong, but I think Thiago, unless those knees were really fucked up from the John fight, I think Thiago's probably going to come out and beat the fuck out of Glover, and Glover's going to look 41 years old in this fight. I think
this is not Glover against. I hate to throw him under the bus again, Anthony Smith.
Right.
This is Thiago Santos is not going to lay down for Glover Teixeira for any reason. And Anthony Smith sort of laid down a little bit, it seemed like to me, in that fight. Kind of didn't want to be in there. So Thiago Santos isn't going to be that guy. I know he's coming off a double knee surgery or whatever, double knee injuries and all that, but he's going to be there for it. Glover has what it takes to get the win this Saturday. Glover doesn't get his credit for the amount of damage he dishes out on the ground. Agreed. But you got to get to the ground.
Right.
All right. And Thiago's gonna land a few hammers to the fucking chin before that happens. Please believe that shit. So that is this weekend. Technically, this is ESPN too, but they've been, dual fucking, broadcasting these cards and shit. So I'm assuming you can also watch it on ESPN Plus this Saturday night.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. So you had an idea for a little last segment, right?
Yeah. All right. So just towards the end of the show, I feel like before we were going live tonight, I was just thinking. Actually, I'll tell you exactly how the inception for this idea started. I was watching the Roy Jones Jr. podcast with Joe Rogan a couple weeks ago, and at some point they brought up Marvin Hagler, and I obviously know who Marvin. For those of you who might not know, which would bring me around to this segment, Marvin Hagler was a boxer from the fucking 80s, early 80s.
Yeah, I think so. I'll pull up some stats.
I don't think it was quite the 70s. It might have been the 70s, but I think it was like 80s. Anyway, I was hip to who Marvin Hagler was, but I wasn't exactly hip to his whole career and a lot of his fights and stuff. Obviously, there's the very famous fight, Hagler-Hearns, Thomas Hearns and Marvin Hagler, which was probably the greatest boxing match ever. But during the Roy Jones Jr. Joe Rogan podcast, they were talking about fucking Marvin Hagler and just how amazing he was. And it was such they made such an impression that I paused the podcast and I brought up YouTube and I looked up a couple of fucking highlight reels of his, and then I watched a short documentary. And wow, what a fucking career the guy had. What a fucking fighter. For all of you out there who might have watched Floyd Mayweather or caught some of these more than less than entertaining boxing matches lately, and you might not think you like boxing, I would highly recommend you go back and look at some Marvin Hagler fights, some Marvin Hagler highlights, or at the very least, go back and watch Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns. The first round of that fight was fucking chaos. I mean, it is one of the absolute best rounds in combat sports history. Both those dudes, tough as nails, strong as shit, power punchers, just rocking the fuck out of each other back and forth. It was fucking incredible. But Marvin Hagler, when his whole career, he lost 2 fights. Both fights he lost by decision. He came back and knocked out both of those men. He was never knocked down in his whole career, and he got fucking thunderstruck by Thomas Hearns. I think he did get knocked down once, but it was like a slip. He stepped on his shoe. He never got cleanly knocked down, not one time in his whole career. And he was an aggressive power punching striker. So he would give one, take one to give one. Never got knocked down. The very last fight of his career, he lost the fight to Sugar Ray Leonard, who a lot of people thought that he very well won. But the motherfucker was such a G that he was like, listen, if I ain't here to destroy men, I quit. He lost a very close fight to fucking Sugar Ray Leonard, who obviously went on to be one of the greatest boxers of all time, too. And again, keep in mind, a lot of people thought that he actually won that fight because he was the champion at the time. And it was sort of like, you need to beat the champ to fucking take the belt. And Sugar Ray didn't quite do that.
Right.
Fucking Marvin Hagler said, piss on y'all. I quit. He moved to fucking Paris and became a fucking actor. He's still out there getting white pussy. Marvin Hagler is the fucking man. It brings us around. At the end of every podcast, I would like for me and you to just throw out a fighter, possibly a new guy that we might be hip on, but more than likely, maybe just an older fighter. Could be boxer, kickboxer, MMA, Valley Tudo, Jiu-Jitsu, just somebody who the fans might not be aware of, and just recommend that so that they can go out, check that fighter out. So for the first little segment, I'm going to throw I just told you so. If you don't got a fighter tonight,
I got one.
Okay, perfect.
So as soon as you told me the idea, go ahead.
Marvin Hagler, ladies and gentlemen. Go look. And the fight, if you don't know what to Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns, go look that fight up. Fucking thank me later.
You'll watch it a few times, believe me. It's fucking insane. All right. So as soon as you mentioned this segment, the idea, the only person I could think of, Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was, I want to say he was the very first black heavyweight champion in boxing. I want to say, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure he was. I think he was.
So we're talking like Jim Crow era. We're talking like dude was insane, right? He had a fight against James Jeffries and stuff, like the fight of the century. He was around for Ken Burns. Anyone that knows photography knows who Ken Burns is, or filmmaking knows who Ken Burns is. He's that old, or he's back in the day. And Ken Burns is actually quoted as saying, for more than 13 years, Jack Johnson was the most famous and the most notorious African-American on earth. Dude transcended boxing because he was fucking insane. Here's why he's one of my favorites. Besides the fact that he fought like 95 times, he won, I think, 70 of them. And he had like 11 losses, and he had a bunch of draws too, and a couple no contests. But the guy, think about this. This is back in the day, like 1910s, and before, right? This dude opened up a restaurant, a nightclub. He was married to a white woman. He was known to mess around with white women. This dude went to jail for violating what's called the Mann Act, which is basically you're not back with this is going to sound insane if you don't know about this. It basically forbid anybody to transport a woman across state lines for immoral purposes. If that doesn't sound like a trap, it's because it was a trap, right? So he got sentenced to a year in prison. He bailed on the he got the fuck out of Dodge. I don't know where he went, but he fought like overseas, wherever, in other countries for a while. This dude took fights forever, right? And crazy life, had a fucking insane life. And the end of the day, dies in a car crash at 68 years old. Crazy. So if that's not like a god damn, dude, but this motherfucker lived. So Jack Johnson, there's no video of him. There's photos everywhere. Read up on his story. It's one of the most interesting fucking stories I've ever read or heard of. The motherfucker is a legend that nobody talks about anymore, but definitely worth reading about. So Jack Johnson.
And from what I heard, from what I
Mm.
know, like you said, from what I've heard about him, was a fucking beast.
Hell
In the
yeah,
ring.
killer.
They're just killing those white boys. I think that was back then they would fight fucking like 30, 40, 60, 80 rounds or some crazy shit like that. Yeah, like it.
Shit. That's probably why he was like, hey man, I'm gonna marry a white woman. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
You get to do whatever you want, Jack. Who
go
gonna tell
ahead.
you no?
Dude, that dude used to he used to get like he's loved driving really fast, obviously the car crash. But he used to, love driving fast. So he would drive, get really fast, get pulled over, give the cop $100 and tell him, I'm gonna be driving just as fast, as not faster on the way back. So just heads up.
You know what's funny about that? Quickly,
Mm,
for any of you out there who may have seen Harlem Nights,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, the boxer from Harlem Nights, the one that got the stutter that's doing, I think he's loosely based on
It
Jack
seems like
Dodger
it.
because he's supposed to be the big black boxer of the
Yeah.
time and shit. Like I think that was supposed to be loosely
Yeah.
based on that character.
Yeah,
So,
but if you think about the times this dude was alive in and doing all that shit, you're like, God damn, he's a bad motherfucker. Straight up.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this was cool. I like this segment.
Mhm.
This will be really cool. We'll do this every
Yeah.
week. At the very end of the episode, we'll throw out just sort of an obscure fighter that you cocksuckers should go
Cool.
look up and become more acquainted with.
Yeah, so we got a week to figure out the next one. So there you go.
You
All
got
right,
it.
folks. You guys are dope as fuck. We appreciate the hell out of all you guys. You can follow us on, of course, Sport 1983 for Jesse, who is fine. He's alive. He's doing well. He's just busy. Fred's at Kirby_MMA. I'm at Eli32. Of course, the websites, the sponsors are all RepTheWarriors.com, SpiceBirds.com. Shout out to everyone that tuned in tonight. You guys are dope as hell. Tank. And he says, have a good night. Looking to flat Earth. I did. I fell asleep. Tank 28. Obviously, Otis. Cairo's hanging out tonight and hanging out last night too. Jeremiah. Who else we got here? I think Raider was here earlier. Adam Woods, appreciate you, man. And then last night, real quick, I had one of my colleagues from Cape Side Press named Gabriel Gonzalez. He's at Double G on TV on Twitter and on Instagram. He was on Fight Island. I had him on for an hour and like 20 minutes last night. So keepitwarriorsmma.com. Hit up that one. He gave details. I literally went chronological order from him leaving Vegas and flying to Abu Dhabi to him flying back. And it was a really cool behind the curtain look. It was dope as fuck. So I highly recommend you guys check that out. All right. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us, man. Appreciate you guys. For myself, for Mr. Fred Kirby, and of course, Jesse Ragawa, you guys are dope as fuck. Good night. Good night, Wilshire.